how do we approach this divide between, right, between siblings, between family members, and then on a larger basis, I keep hearing the excuse like, oh, but it's capitalism. That's why I can mistreat people this way. It's just capitalism. I'm a capitalist. And I'm like, how can you think that way, that it's okay to allow somebody to starve because it would cost you too much money to send the food, the excess food you have, to them? Like,
Yes. So one of the things we are all playing with as we come here and incarnate is this idea of self. Self meaning separate. Yes, we are all, again, under the illusion for a while that we are separate until we have experiences. Some of us have experiences that show us that that is not necessarily true. However, if you are in this lifetime and what you are playing with, what you are studying, is really going deep into this idea of self, of separateness. Yes, that I am in it for myself. Yes, or in it for the people that are in my family or that I choose to care about. And everyone else is in it for themselves. And if they want to lift themselves up by their bootstraps, they can do that. Yes, so that illusion that we are separate. And it is frustrating for those people that can see the connection to have other people around that appear, it's like, how can they be so unaware? And in being so unaware, how can they be selfish? Yes, because as we spoke of with Hannah, when you become aware, it is almost impossible to mistreat someone if you really become aware. Yes. Or if you mistreat someone, you understand that it is all part of this play that we are playing out. Yes. Like Kathy was speaking of, right? Where we trigger each other for a reason so we can work through our things. Yes. But how can you be unaware of that? And the answer is that is all part of the ecosystem. We need those people. Because without those people, you wouldn't feel the rage that you felt that is propelling you forward on your journey. Yes, clocks need tension. They don't work if we don't wind them. If the spring is not tightly coiled, the clock will not work. So if there is not, in this experience of incarnation, if there is not conflict, if there is not tension, if there are not triggers, we would not experience moving forward. We would not experience growth. We would not experience change. And one of the reasons that we are here in a time-bound, appearingly separate ego body, appearingly time-bound, appearingly separate. Yes, neither of those are ultimately true, but that is the appearance that we, all that humans can see, that can perceive. The reason for that is to have change and growth, is to experience change and growth. So why is it that some people are so selfish and ego driven and et cetera, et cetera? It's so that you can become pissed off and do something about it. So good for you. You're doing the right thing. And they're doing the right thing in their own way. Now, is it morally wrong for one person to cause another person suffering? On one level, yes. And then on another level, it is all part of the teachings. So morally wrong and spiritually wrong may be two different things. I know that is not the satisfying answer you were looking for, but it is so that you can be outraged and make changes and learn, and that they can learn too. Maybe not as much as you would want them to, but they are learning something too. What can you do about it in this time, in this life, in this journey? Is exactly what we have been talking about this whole time. It is helping everyone to develop compassion. It is helping everyone to develop a feeling of connectedness and worthiness. It is to help everyone understand that we are one. And that in order to mistreat someone, you must be closing or cutting yourself off to a part of yourself as well. Because if you are really in touch with your full humanity, you would not be able to harm someone without, you would not be able to harm someone while feeling apathetic about it, or it doesn't matter, or they deserve it, et cetera, et cetera. You would harm someone and you would feel the consequences.
Does that include animals?
Yes, although there is another interesting conundrum, yes. And so well, we say we, but you, it's almost like you set yourself up when you come to Earth. Because here we've set you up as meat eaters. Yes, your physiology is that you are descended from meat eaters. And yet, if you really were in your full humanity, it would be very hard to murder an animal and eat it. Yes, or even murder a plant and eat it. And so we set you up, or you set yourselves up, really is a better way of putting it, for conflict, so that you can work through these problems. You can think about these problems. You can study at this school. Are there many, many people who go through life eating meat and it never occurs to them to feel badly, or they never even really make that connection of where their meat is coming from, or what happened to the meat before it became meat? Yes, when it was still an animal. Sure. And then are there other people that are acutely aware of that? And it changes them so that they can no longer eat meat? Yes. Are both of those experiences part of what is possible when you're here as a human? Yes. And neither is better or worse from a spiritual point of view. When you get to the point where you are feeling that full humanity and you are not judging your actions one way or the other, but simply understanding them in the context or the tapestry of experience, that is when you become closer to not needing this human experience anymore. Yes, does that help answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
So be angry. It is right that you are. This is part of your journey, part of your path. If you are feeling it, then it is part of your path. Thank you everyone for being here today. We appreciate this good conversation. These are, we love that you brought the questions broad and then brought them back narrow and then brought them broad and then brought them narrow, because that is the tricky part of all of this, is understanding I have this unique situation that's happening to me today, and then there is this larger spiritual lesson, but what is in the middle? Yes, how do I actually live this, experience this, move through this? So thank you, we appreciate that. We appreciate all of your questions and your follow-up questions and your feeding off each other as well. That is always why we like to have this in a group setting. So we appreciate that. So thank you, and we will talk to you again next week.